Shakarri Richardson under pressure here. It is going to be a gold for the United States.
Sha'Carri Richardson just pulled off one of the most dramatic comebacks in track and field history. The 25-year-old American sprinter had been struggling all season, but when it mattered most, she delivered a performance that shocked the world. It was the final day of the 2025 World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. Rain was pouring down on the track, making everything slippery and dangerous. The women's 4x100-meter relay was the last event, and all eyes were on the battle between the United States and Jamaica. Richardson had good reason to feel nervous. Just days earlier, she finished fifth in the individual 100 meters. People were asking why Team USA even put her on the relay team. Her whole 2025 season had been rough, with injuries and poor performances. Some called it her worst year as a professional athlete. But the relay was different. Richardson wasn't running alone this time. Her teammates Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, Twanisha Terry, and Kayla White were all part of the same training group. They practiced together every day under coach Dennis Mitchell in Florida. Richardson loved talking about Mitchell's coaching style. She told reporters that he was different from any coach she had worked with before. Mitchell didn't just focus on running fast, he cared about his athletes as people first. Richardson said he taught them life lessons and took care of problems they didn't even know they had. The race setup was perfect for drama. Jamaica's team included Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, the greatest female sprinter of all time. This was Fraser-Pryce's last race ever. At 38 years old, she was ending an 18-year career that included 17 World Championship medals and 8 Olympic medals. She had won her first medal in Japan back in 2007, and now she was saying goodbye in Japan too. I felt like I ran with my heart because of the ladies I'm standing with, Richardson said as she celebrated her first gold medal of a championships that was far from perfect. I feel really good. It came back. I'm ready to start all over again. For the American team, Jefferson-Wooden was already having an amazing championship. She had won both the 100 meters and 200 meters earlier in the week. If the relay team won gold, she would make history. Only one other woman had ever won all 3 sprint events at a single World Championships. That woman was Fraser-Pryce herself back in 2013. When the race started, Jefferson-Wooden ran the first leg for America. She clocked 11.32 seconds, which was actually faster than Fraser-Pryce's opening leg. The wet track didn't seem to bother her. Terry and White handled their sections cleanly, keeping America in the hunt for gold. Then it was Richardson's turn. She got the baton for the final 100 meters, and here's where things got crazy. She was actually behind Jamaica by 0.01 seconds when she started running. Their anchor runner, Johnny Smith, had a tiny lead, and it looked like Jamaica might win. But Richardson did something special. Within just a few steps, she had taken the lead by a full meter. The crowd went wild as they watched her pull away from Smith. Richardson later said she felt like she was running with her heart because of her teammates. After such a tough season, this race meant everything to her. Smith wasn't giving up, though. In the final 30 meters, she started closing the gap. Richardson's big lead was shrinking fast. This was turning into one of the closest relay finishes ever. Both women were flying down the track through the pouring rain. Richardson held on by the smallest margin possible. She crossed the line in 41.75 seconds, beating Jamaica by just 0.04 seconds. That's less than half a step in a 4x100 relay. Germany won bronze in 41.87 seconds, while Great Britain finished fourth. The celebration was incredible. Richardson let out a huge roar of joy that you could hear over everything else. She had gone from disappointment in the individual race to relay gold in just a few days. Jefferson-Wooden had made her piece of history too, joining Fraser-Pryce as the only women to sweep all 3 sprint events. This victory meant more than just another gold medal for Richardson. Her career has been a roller coaster of ups and downs. She first became famous as a 19-year-old college student when she broke records and looked like the next big thing in American sprinting. Then came the biggest setback of her career. Right before the 2021 Olympics, Richardson tested positive for marijuana. She explained that she was dealing with the death of her mother, who had died just a week before her Olympic trials. The positive test meant she couldn't compete in the Olympics at all. America's biggest sprint star had to watch from home. Getting back to the top took time. Richardson slowly rebuilt her reputation and her confidence. In 2023, she won her first major individual title, taking 100-meter gold at the World Championships. She also ran the fastest relay leg in history that year. The 2024 Paris Olympics brought more success. Richardson won silver in the 100 meters, then delivered one of the most famous moments of the Games. In the 4x100 relay, a bad handoff put America in third place. But Richardson stormed back to win gold, then turned to stare down her competitors before crossing the line. It became one of the most talked about moments of the Olympics. But 2025 started badly for Richardson. She struggled in individual races and even had legal trouble. In July, she was arrested after a fight with her boyfriend Christian Coleman at the Seattle airport. She spent more than 18 hours in jail before being released. Richardson later apologized and said she would get help. All of this history made the Tokyo relay win even more amazing. Richardson could have fallen apart under all the pressure. Instead, she came through when her team needed her most. Fraser-Pryce made the moment even more special. After the race, the Jamaican legend talked about passing the torch to the next generation. She called Richardson and Jefferson-Wooden young, upcoming superstars and queens. It was the perfect way for Fraser-Pryce to end her career, competing against the future of women's sprinting. The victory showed how strong American track and field has become. Team USA won 26 total medals at these championships, including 16 golds. That was the same number of total medals they won at the Tokyo Olympics, but with way more gold medals this time. Richardson's coach Dennis Mitchell deserves a lot of credit for this success. His training group has become one of the best in the world. Having all the relay runners practice together creates trust that shows up in big races. When Richardson talks about Mitchell caring about them as people, you can see it in how well the team works together. The American men also won relay gold that same day. Noah Lyles anchored them to victory in 37.29 seconds, which was the fifth fastest time ever. Christian Coleman ran the first leg for the men's team, showing how deep American sprinting talent really is. This relay gold does more than just add to Richardson's medal collection. It proves that athletes can overcome personal problems and public criticism to achieve great things. Richardson's story connects with people because it's real. She has dealt with family tragedy, legal issues, performance pressure, and constant media attention. But she still found a way to help her team win when it mattered most. The victory also sets up an exciting future for American sprinting. Richardson and Jefferson-Wooden are now the faces of the sport heading toward the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. They'll get to compete at home with all the pressure and support that comes with it. As the American flag went up in Tokyo and Richardson stood with her gold medal, her comeback story reached another high point. The sprinter who started these championships with people doubting her ended it as a relay hero. She proved once again that in track and field, the athletes who face the most controversy often create the most unforgettable moments.
With 60 meters to go, they're still side by side with 50. Lyles trying to find something. He stretches away. It is a global title again.
Noah Lyles just said something that shocked everyone. When the best 200-meter runner in the world admits that a 17-year-old high school student is more talented than he was at the same age, you know something big is happening. That's exactly what Noah Lyles said about Australian runner Gout Gout after the World Championships in Tokyo, and it has everyone talking. The moment came right after the men's 200-meter semifinals. Gout had just been eliminated from his first senior world championships, running 20.36 seconds to finish fourth in his heat. Meanwhile, Lyles had just posted the fastest time in the world this year with a blistering 19.51 seconds. But when reporters crowded around the American superstar, asking about the young Australian, Lyles said something that caught everyone off guard. "He's more talented than I was," Lyles said with a laugh, referring to when he was 17 years old back in 2015.
There's been nothing but great talent coming up. He's an amazing kid. You got a great head on him. You got a great team around him. It's going to be interesting to see how he develops. The thing that I always look for.
To understand how big this statement is, you need to know who Noah Lyles is. This is a man who just won his fourth straight 200-meter world title. joining Usain Bolt as the only sprinter to achieve this feat. He's the Olympic 100-meter champion and one of the fastest men in history. When someone like that says a teenager is more talented than he was, people listen. The numbers back up Lyles' claim. When Lyles was 17 in 2015, he ran 10.14 seconds in the 100 meters and 20.18 seconds in the 200 meters. Gout has already run faster than both those times. His personal best of 20.02 seconds in the 200 meters is a full 1600ths faster than what Lyles managed at the same age. In sprinting terms, that's a massive difference. But Lyles wasn't just throwing around empty praise. He's actually gotten to know Gout through their shared sponsor, Adidas, which organized a training camp in Florida earlier this year. Lyles coach Lance Brauman worked with both athletes, giving the American champion a close-up view of what the Australian teenager can do. "You have a real talent there in Gout," Brauman said after the Tokyo Championships, "but he's young. You need to let him mature and grow, and don't put too many expectations on him while he's still so young." The relationship between Lyles and Gout has become something of a mentorship. Gout has said that Lyles pretty much puts me under his wing and calls him a great guy. It's the kind of big brother relationship that's rare in elite sports, where competitors are usually guarded about helping potential rivals. But Lyles sees the bigger picture. At 28, he's already on the back half of his career and thinking about his legacy beyond just winning races. He's scheduled another training camp with Gout over the Christmas and New Year period, showing his commitment to helping develop the next generation. The attention around Gout in Tokyo was intense. After his semifinal elimination, 30 reporters crowded around the teenager in the mixed zone under the stadium. The sight was almost comical, dozens of middle-aged journalists pressing in on a high school student who was still sweaty from his race. But Gout handled it with remarkable composure, even smiling at the absurdity of the situation. "It's definitely confidence for sure," Gout said when asked how all the attention made him feel. "The media frenzy isn't just hype. Back in Australia, 3.2 million people watched Gout's heat on television. That's more viewers than tuned in for recent AFL semifinals, showing just how much the Australian public has embraced their new sprint star." But Lyles offered some serious advice along with his praise. He knows that the transition from high school to professional athletics is where many promising careers stall out.
It's going to be interesting to see how he develops. You know, the thing that I always look for when I'm looking at younger talent is, hey, are you just going to be able to train into shape, one? Because when you're in high school, you're able to just get like races all the time whenever you want. But as a pro, you got to race, you got to come prepared already.
This insight comes from experience. Lyles has seen talented juniors struggle when they can no longer rely on natural ability alone. The professional level demands a different level of preparation and consistency that catches many young athletes off guard. Physical development is another key factor. At 17, Gout still has the lean frame of a teenager. When he lined up for his semifinal in Tokyo, he looked like what one reporter called a station wagon among SUVs, compared to the fully developed men around him. But Lyles sees this as an opportunity rather than a weakness. Lyles said,
and then two, just seeing how they put some, weight room on him over as time develops, naturally, not just like all at once. But
the emphasis on gradual development is crucial. Too much too fast can disrupt the natural mechanics that make young sprinters special. Gout seems to understand this balance. Despite missing his goal of breaking 20 seconds in Tokyo, he remained philosophical about his performance. He said this after his semifinal.
Just excitement for sure. Obviously, I was aiming for that sub 20, but today wasn't the day God didn't allow it today. But I know for sure in the future it's going to be coming for sure.
The teenager's perspective on time is refreshing in a sport often obsessed with immediate results. While older competitors feel the pressure of limited opportunities, Gout sees his youth as his greatest advantage.
Still compete as a kid and the thing I have on them is I got time. They may not have 15 years, but I got 15 years for sure. So I know that I can keep running, and I know that if I can do this at 17, I can do this at 25 as well, and I'll be even better at 25. So.
That timeline puts everything in perspective. Gout will be just 24 when the 2032 Olympics come to Brisbane, his home country. It's a goal that seems to drive everything he does, adding what he calls fuel to my fire. But Lyles also warned about the business side of professional athletics. Once sponsors come calling and contracts are signed, young athletes suddenly have to mature faster than their peers. Lyles said, That's the hardest part about being such a young talent. You have to grow up so much faster than everybody else. When people get to come to you and they're like, hey, we need this of you, unfortunately, you don't get to say, I'm only a teenager, because once you sign the contract, once you're on the track, you're no longer a teenager, you're now a businessman. This advice is particularly relevant for Gout, who's already dealing with significant media attention while trying to finish his final year of high school. His team has been protective of his schedule, limiting interviews and keeping his focus on education alongside athletics. The Australian will return to Brisbane to complete his QCE exams in October before heading back to Florida for another training block with Lyles. It's a careful balance between nurturing his talent and protecting his development. Lyles' coach Brauman is enthusiastic about working with Gout again. He said, I think his coach Di is doing a great job managing him, and she's taking a very sensible approach with the young man. This praise for Gout's support team was echoed by Lyles himself.
Develops, naturally, not just like all at once, but, he got a great coach. She's, very, she's constantly looking to be a better coach, and she's constantly looking to be the best for him. So,
The relationship between the two sprinters represents something special in athletics. In a sport where competitors are often reluctant to help potential rivals, Lyles is actively mentoring someone who could one day challenge his records. It speaks to his character and his understanding that the sport is bigger than any individual athlete. For Gout, having the world's best 200-meter runner in his corner is invaluable. But perhaps more importantly, he's learning how to handle the pressure and expectations that come with being labeled as the next big thing in sprinting. As Lyles continues his own quest for more world titles, his surprising admission about Gout's talent has added another layer to his legacy. He's not just winning races, he's helping shape the future of sprinting. And if his assessment is correct, that future looks very bright indeed.
The Americans, Canada, USA battling for gold. It's USA. Noah Lyles is going to take the gold. It's silver for Canada.
Noah Lyles was standing in the rain, and Team USA was about to lose again at Tokyo's National Stadium. But then he did something that changed everything. The World Athletics Championships in Tokyo was already historic for Team USA. They had smashed their own record with 16 gold medals, beating the old mark of 14. But there was one problem lurking in the shadows: the men's 4x100-meter relay. That event where the Americans are supposed to dominate, but somehow always find a way to mess up the baton handoffs. Let me take you back to how we got here. The championships started rough for Noah Lyles. The guy who calls himself the fastest man alive got beat in the 100 meters, walking away with just a bronze medal. For someone with his confidence, that had to sting. Lyles later admitted he'd been dealing with depression after his mixed results at the Paris Olympics, where he won 100-meter gold but only managed bronze in his favorite event, the 200 meters. But something changed in Tokyo. Lyles bounced back in a big way, winning his 4th straight 200-meter world title. That tied him with the legendary Usain Bolt for consecutive wins in that event. Suddenly the swagger was back. Lyles was smiling again, posting about the athlete after party on social media like he already knew gold was coming. Now here's where it gets interesting. The women's team had just finished their 4x100 relay, and it was pure drama. Melissa Jefferson-Wooden was going for something special. She wanted to become only the second woman in history to win the 100 meters, 200 meters, and 4x100 meters relay at the same championships. The only other person to do it, Jamaica's Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce back in 2013. The women's race came down to the wire. Sha'Carri Richardson got the baton with Team USA actually trailing Jamaica by a tiny margin. But Richardson dug deep, caught Jamaica's Johnny L. Smith, and held on by just 0.04 of a second. The time was 41.75 seconds, giving Jefferson-Wooden her historic triple gold. But the real story was still coming. Fraser-Pryce, the 38-year-old Jamaican legend, had just run her final race. She colored her hair in the Japanese flag colors for this last hurrah, finishing with silver and her 17th World Championship medal. As she crossed the line, you could see the emotion. She was passing the torch to a new generation. Now the pressure was on the men. Christian Coleman, Kenny Bednarek, Courtney Lindsay, and Noah Lyles stepped onto that rain-soaked track knowing they had to deliver. The weather was getting worse by the minute, and these conditions were exactly the type that cause relay disasters. Coleman took the first leg and did what he does best. He absolutely flew out of the blocks. The lead was immediate and impressive. When he handed off to Bednarek, Team USA was in great shape. But here's where things got scary. Canada's Jerome Blake was flying down the backstretch, eating into that American lead. Worse yet, the Dutch runner in the lane next to Bednarek was swinging his arms wildly and nearly hit him across the chest. Bednarek stayed calm under pressure and got the baton safely to Courtney Lindsay. And here's what separated this relay from all those previous American disasters. Lindsay ran the fastest third leg of anyone in the field. Suddenly, that comfortable lead was back. When Lyles got the baton for the anchor leg, he could see the gap they had built. As he later said, when Christian passed the baton, I knew it was a done deal. I saw the lead we had, and it was kind of a relief as everybody did such a great job. I just had to finish the race, but don't think it was easy. Canada's Andre de Grasse, the guy who won 200-meter gold in this same stadium during the Tokyo Olympics, was charging hard. For a brief moment, it looked like he might actually catch Lyles. The crowd was on their feet as these two superstars battled down the home stretch. Then Lyles did what Lyles does. He shifted into another gear and pulled away.